Hello, good people, and welcome back to the website build for the MyxoTech website. So we can dive right in. There's no leftovers from previous videos because I did that quick addendum in part 3 where I discussed how I ended up making the changes or the hover effects for the button. And today I want to jump right into this mission/services section and see how far we get in the next 45 minutes. So, by the way, I made a backup here. Never forget to make a backup of your work every once in a while. So we are going to need a section. We're going to need one container in here and another container for the second part. We're going to have down here as a background, we're going to use a gradient, and you're going to see why. And then in here, we're going to have two blocks, left and right. This is going to be a grid. And in here, this is going to be a flex with, these three elements. And then we're going to have a block here, and inside that block, which is going to be a grid, we're going to have these three cards. We're going to build the cards in a way that they're reusable later on, because down here we have more cards, and you see these ones actually have these background images in here. So what we're going to do for the cards is we're going to build them in the way that they have this yellow background color, and then they're going to have a yellow overlay as well that is going to be just slightly transparent. So if you want to decide to put a background image in there, then it's going to look, like this. And if you don't want to have any background image in there, it's just going to look plain old yellow. So that's the idea. This is where we need to go. And the most complex part of what we're doing here is going to be this grid. I prepared this before I started this video. So we're going to use CSS grid for that. And, this is the grid we're going to build. We're going to see then how, I'm going to show you how we're going to do this. But let's take it one step at a time. So a new section, we're going to press S, and then we're going to have a container. We will need another container, so I'm press Control Shift left to go, to navigate around the structure panel. So Control Shift up and down moves to siblings, and then left and right moves to parents and children. So again, I'm going to press C to put another container in here. So now we have our two containers. We have the section. Let's see. Here's Figma. And okay, so we can go straight into what needs to be in those containers. So this one's gonna have two blocks, and this one's gonna have icon, heading, text, and another block. So the icon, I think, is C. No, it's not. Well, obviously it's not. Is it I? Yeah. And then a heading, and then basic text, and then another block. Why do I keep going there? And inside that block, we're going to have three more blocks for those cards. Yes, yes, yes. Jesus, I'm going to close this now. Go away. Don't bother me. So we're going to have three blocks in here for the cards. Actually, we're going to build one card and BIM it out and then duplicate it. So then we need to put stuff in here, which is really just a heading, rich text module because it's multi-paragraph text, and a button. Where are we here? This is the second block. So we're gonna need a heading, a rich text, yes, and a button. That's the letter U. Okay. I'm thinking, why don't we just make this, there's going to be more than one dark section here, right? With the dark background and white text, like this one again, and then this one down here as well. So I might just put a class on this. This is called split section, and then we're going to put another, wait, what's styled at the ID level here? See, the background is on the, oh, no, wait. The split section already has all the background, yeah, the background color and all that stuff. So technically I would need to get rid of the background color here and the typography here as well. And I'm going to make another section, another class I'm going to call section dark. And I'm going to rename this class to section split. Now we have our section classes, and the section dark class is going to get that white text and the background color of dark. Wonderful. And let me just lower the volume of my notifications a little so they don't bother you while you're listening to this video. So this section is going to be section dark. Bingo. Wonderful. And now, yeah, this is already starting to take shape. We're going to call this mission plus serve. I'm just going to call it mission. I'll probably think of better names later. This is going to be services. Yeah, I mean, then wrapper mission and wrapper services. This isn't ideal. I'm not quite happy with that, actually. I mean, if we're honest, these are two sections. This is not one section. Yeah, and we shouldn't treat it like that either. So this is going to be a wrapper, and this is going to be a wrapper. Okay, this is our mission section, and then inside the mission section we have the images. That's a mosaic. And this is the body, heading, rich text. Yeah, I'm just going to call this content. This is going to be button because it's a button. This is going to be the wrapper, and we're going to make a new section here. So I press escape, I press S. No. There. And I'm going to put this in here. This section is going to be called services. And the section up here is going to have a bottom 0. That is just a utility class that I have when I have sections with the same background color one after the other. I don't want the padding between those sections, the spacing between those sections to add up, because these are both going to be dark, right? So, you know, if I press Control P now, this looks fine, right? We have even spacing here between those sections, but that's because this first section that, you know, goes till here, I put this class on it that says bottom 0, which basically just sets the bottom padding to 0, right? Because by default, obviously, we have section padding in there. Now we're gonna, in here, we got everything we need. The block is fine. So why don't we start styling? We go through this one by one. The wrapper is going to be a grid. So I just use these grid classes that I already made in Advanced Thema. You go to Advanced. If you guys are not familiar with Advanced Thema, you can go here to AT theme settings, and then you go to CSS classes, and you can make grid utility classes, right? You can here define what, you know, you want a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or whatever grid, and you can decide what gap you want to have in there. Obviously, you can override that at the ID level, how many columns maximum there should be in that grid, and what the column width should be. So if I say here, I want a min col width of 280, so as soon as the viewport gets narrower than that, it automatically wraps. So Maxime prepared all this for us, so he makes these classes, you know, easy. Like, we just need to put in the values and he does the under the hood work. That's actually true. It's not AT that does the under the hood work. So if you make a class, Maxime gets an email and then he does it by hand, obviously. So here we want to have a row gap of space M, which is just my normal spacing. And by the way, so I'm using not the best spacing. Hang on a second. Am I using? Let me see. No, I do have space content. Yeah. Okay, I have content spacing, which is a best practice as recommended by Kevin. And I think it makes a lot of sense that, you know, you want to have a spacing for your content, which is also something you want to do up here. Not this wrapper, but wait, does this have a, oh yeah, okay. So we need to have a content spacing here. We need to have, because space M is not contextual, right? But if we have if we create a variable for our content spacing, then we know this is our content spacing. This is always going to be our content spacing. So it gives us two benefits. First of all, we don't have to, every time we come back after 3 months, we don't have to look up, what content spacing was I using? Oh, it was M. Okay. And then go back, you know, and reuse that on another point that we might be building later on. And secondly, it's those t-shirt sizes. They're, you know, as I said, they're not contextual. They don't make sense on their own. Whereas if I have spacing content, I know what that is. Okay. I think I just repeated both the same points twice in different words. I don't know. I'll think of it later. My brain is somewhat functional most of the time and not very functional sometimes. So row gap here should be content as well. And we see that the content gap actually is a little bit higher than, I'm going to look into the variables to see what that is. Content gap is a little brighter or bigger than a space M, which I don't know if I'm happy with that. I think I like space M as, or, you know, the same values as space M. Let's see here, spacing, space content, 24 and 30. Yeah, no, let's make that 20. 20 is fine for this website. I think it looks good. So 16 to 20. The clamp is being calculated under the hood and we're good. Save to database. Perfect. I actually just got a message from Maxime on Facebook saying he found the issue about, remember 2 videos ago where I used the class converter here to take the ID styles off the class and put off the elements and put them into classes, and the custom CSS wasn't transported. He actually just figured out what the issue is. So we're going to have that fixed in a future version of Advanced Themer, which is cool. So we're here. No, we no longer need to go here. I think I cleared up all my spacing there. Yes. Wonderful boys and girls. Where we have a grid 2 here, we want to have this stretch. So all the contents here stretch vertically to the same height. Now let's bring in some actual text from Figma, ideally. This is just going to be the story of this video. Matt clicks the wrong tab. That's what this video is about. We offer natural product chemistry. See? Natural product chemistry. This is going to get wrapped in a span. And the span is going to be class equals, I don't know. Let's call it, not action, accent. Right? Right. H2 is fine. By the way, now that we're grabbing some CSS here, I'm going to grab all this CSS that I wrote for the button. And because I want it to be in one place, I'm going to put it into WP code box. So layout, all the button shenanigans that we've been doing go here. Button styling. Here's our button CSS. Then we have the menu styling, and then since we're on layout, I would say this actually belongs in typography, because really this class typography is where I'm going to use it. So let's put this here. Gaps, yeah, I'm not going to go into detail on that today. So was it accent, color, Jesus. Okay, now I'm gonna save. It should automatically get the right color. There we go, wonderful. We offer natural product chemistry. It's not the kind of beverage everybody's into, but you know, some people, you know, whatever floats your boat. There, and we are going to change. Can I wrap this now in a... Jesus. May make microbial dark matter chemistry available to the pharmacy. So I should now be able, text color, custom. Yeah. Can I put a variable in here? Var accent. No, right? Ah, okay. Then it's a source code that we got to do here. Do I make a class for this? So I'm going to use the accent class that I've already created, right? Because obviously I can just create a class in here and then still use Briggs's class system to assign the class. There's nothing stopping me from that, right? So what I want to do is obviously right now the class just turns everything yellow, which is not correct. We want this to be yellow. So I highlight this. Yeah. I mean, it's just wrapped in strong tags now, okay? And I'm gonna go ahead and just remove this here. I'm going to do that for the brand as well. You know what? Okay, so the brand class, same thing. I'm going to get rid of this. Matt, why did you get rid of that? So let's see why. We have the accent class. Now we can give this class some custom CSS, and we can write root strong and root span color accent. Right. Now we go here. Don't need a class on the span anymore, but we need the accent class here. Look at that. Isn't that nice? And then for the brand, we do the same thing. So this is the claim heading, and we want to have a span in there, and we're going to add a class called brand, and in that class we go root span color brand. Oops. Bingo. So now if I want to highlight text, I just assign the class to the container, or like to the element, right? Yep. In case you're watching on a smartphone, this is really all I did, right? I just created a class called brand and a class called accent, and then I can assign them to the elements, and in here there's the CSS just to style the spans, and in the other case also a strong tag inside. Now we've got this, we've got the button. That's just a button. There's nothing that needs to happen with this, except I'm guessing we want send us an inquiry. Button, come to daddy, send us an inquiry. There we go. And now we get to the interesting part. We want to build this grid. So let's look at Figma. So I went in here and I mean, in Figma, you can just, I think this is a group. Yeah. So in Figma, I can just freely move these around any which way I want, right? And then they're, you know, they're gonna scale up and down and whatnot. But then if I want to build this in a nice manner, in a sustainable manner, then I need to have a grid, and I need to have some sort of order and structure in this. So I started counting what kind of grid do we need. We have the first grid line here, then we have one grid line here in terms of columns, right? This is where the first column starts, second column starts, third column starts here, fourth column starts here, then the fifth, and then this is the end, which is number 6, right? So we have 6 columns, and well, we have 5 columns with the 6th border edge at the end, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in this direction. Let me see if that's right. Do I still have the CSS? Did I ditch the CSS, really? There's a CSS. Just for reference, I prepared this beforehand. So this is the CSS that we need. The parent has a display of grid. It has grid template columns, you know, 3FR, 3FR, 1FR, 2FR, and 3FR. You can see how I put the divs in here. So this column, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns, you know, and then the 6th edge here. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows as well. And I just gave them different widths, like FR is fractional units. So this is 3 fractions of the whole. This is 3 fractions of the whole. This is 1 fraction. These are 2 fractions. And this last column is 3 fractions of the whole width of the container. And the same way in terms of vertical spacing, it's 3, 1, 1, 3, and again 1. And now I can put these divs inside and I can place them where I want them. That being, I want the parent to be display grid. Obviously, we have these columns that we defined here. We don't want any gaps between the columns. And then the div 1 is this guy here. We have a grid area property here, a declaration here. And it tells us, or we're telling it, please start at row 1, column 2, and finish at row 4, column 5, right? So it starts at row 1 up here, and column 2, it starts here, and it finishes at row 4 in column 5. And this is exactly how we're placing the other 2 in this grid. So we can go right on building that in bricks. We are going to give this mosaic block display of grid. We're going to put no gap, but just leave that empty. And then the template columns, we put repeat to, 2 min max 0 3FR. So we have twice 3FR, and then we have 1FR, 2FR, and 3FR. So min max 0 1FR, 0 2, and 0 3. This is number 1. And then for the rows, we have 3FR, then 2 times 1FR. Yeah. 3FR2131. Is that right? 3FR twice 1FR and 3FR and 1FR. Yes, that is correct. And Maddie is happy. We have about 10 minutes, so we're clearly not getting to this bottom part here. That's a shame, but you know, there's always a next time. Now let's put 3 images in this guy. So that's an MMM. And the first image. Photos. This, actually, Peter told me that he doesn't really like this one, so we can pick another one. And then these sort of trees and blobs and whatever they are. So for this one, we'll pick, this looks like a lunar surface. Don't need the full size, of course. This only needs to be like maximum. We just need to use the 600 by 400. It's not going to be larger than, I don't know, like 200 pixels across. So, you know, this is definitely even more than necessary. Then we have these kind of tree, green, yellow things, and then the red guy. So the next image is going to be the tree thingy bobs. These ones. And then the third one is going to be this guy. Yay, you've won as many cars as you can carry. So this was full size. Medium size is enough. And this one also, we don't need it to be full size, although it's already that small, so it doesn't matter. So the first image is going to have, oh, wait. Yeah, no, we need to wrap them. Yes, of course. So we're going to need to wrap them in divs. Hello? Please do my bidding. That would be nice. Div. That's right. Then the divs are going to be position relative. The images inside the divs are going to get an object fit trick. You're going to see. And the mosaic itself is going to be where we decide where these images go. So we've got image 1. Let's do our housekeeping now. So this is called wrapper, mosaic, then we've got image 1, 2, 3. Now we go to the mosaic. And now since I'm going to have to stumble around a little, so I'm not going to waste your time with that, and I'm going to press pause. All right, actually it worked at first attempt. So what we have here is we go to the mosaic, and I wrote the CSS to tell them I want the first child, the div, the first child, to have this grid area. So I want it to be up here. Then the second child, nth child 2. Let's zoom in here a little, right? You can see this. Div, nth child 2, nth child 3. I just gave these 3 divs the instructions to stay where I want them to stay. Now I'm gonna do another rule, another declaration, root div, and I'm gonna say I want every div in here to be position relative, right? There, div position relative. And now now all of these are position relative, right? This one, and this one. And I go in here with the image and I tell this image that I want it to be object fit. So I have a class for this, and now it automatically scales to the size of its container. And we're going to do this here as well. These are just utility classes, right? And here as well. There we go. Now if I press Control P to preview this thing, it looks pretty close to what we wanted, or you know, what we designed in Figma. I can now still, of course, I can adjust this a little, like make this less than 2FR, or you know, so they move around, but we have already what we wanted to get out of this. let's see. There's one thing. These, yeah, they're wrapped in figures. Yeah, I think we're golden here. This should be it. If I want to, let me see. We can do some Z indexing here. So image 2 is this guy. How do we do this? This is below image 1. Yeah, so we're gonna have Z index here. Nope. Mosaic. There. Right. What did I just do? I told the mosaic wrapper to be isolation isolate, so it gets its own stacking context. And then the image 2, I gave it a Z index of -1. So it goes below image 1 in this, you know, they're stacked differently visually. Now I think we're pretty much done with this whole section in terms of, you know, we designed it for the desktop and we're good. So the next part of this show is going to be the services section. And let's see, now we have, yeah, I think we're pretty much done with this one. I'm going to do the next section in the next video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye. All right, folks, here we are just once more. This is Future Matt, and I want to follow up on this episode real quick because I want to show you guys two things that I didn't discuss during the main episode, and we're going to keep the clock at 0 because this doesn't actually contribute to the build. I just want to show you or explain to you two kind of cool things that are worth knowing. So first of all, I want to show off AT's grid builder. So Advanced Themer comes with its own grid builder. And secondly, you remember that in this episode we used a class image object fit, and I kind of feel like I owe it to you to explain exactly what that does, even though that's also, to the best of my knowledge, part of Kevin's 101 page building 101 series. It's probably worth pointing out here again. So first of all, we're going to look at the grid builder, because what we just did with the whole, setting up this grid, putting the images inside, that can be done if you have Advanced Themer with the built-in grid builder. And in order to achieve this, once again, I duplicated this whole layout, and here we have, the container, but we just set it to grid and did nothing else with it, just grid. And we put the 3 image divs in it and, removed any CSS that was controlling them, right? I'm just setting the parent here. This is still set to relative, but you remember that we wrote CSS for the children to put them in their place, and that's no longer there. So again, as a reminder, this is the layout we want to build here. So we have 3FR, 3FR, 1FR, 2FR, and 3FR. And then again, in the vertical side, we have this layout here. We're going to go into the Advanced Themer grid builder. So if you go back to content, as soon as you set the display to grid of something, right? Now it's flex. If you set this to grid, then it automatically becomes available, right? And you open the grid builder here, and first of all, we are going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns. So we have 4, so we're going to add a 5th one, and we're going to need, I think it was 5 as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows, and again we are going to, give them the width that we determined. Let me just, this is really just typing it in here, like 3FR and so on. I'm going to pause. All right, so we've got 3, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 3, 1, 1, 3, 1, and now we have these images here, and we want to place them. So come on, there. So the first one is here. Let's just move these out of the way so they don't bother us. So image 1 is here all the way to here. Yes, wonderful. This one is here to here, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. And I mean, you see how ridiculously easy this is, right? This one's here and extends down here. And that's it. That is literally pretty much it. We want to use the min-max function here. So, you know, if you hover here, if this option is checked, all the calls, rows, values will be wrapped inside a min-max function. Kevin explains why this is necessary in his videos. So we're going to put this in here. I'm going to put this on. And we've got a gap of two, well, we've got a spacing, space M. 5 rows, 5 columns, child settings, label is fine, image 3, start, end, all of this stuff is fine. The U color, this is just for the grid builder. This is not going to have, like this here is not going to have any effect whatsoever on our build, right? This is just inside the grid builder. We want to give it a certain U, like you can have 120 and then it's just green, right? So the Z and X here on this one should be -1, shouldn't it? I think it should be. Let's apply grid and close. Okay, something didn't work the way we, oh yeah, because we didn't isolate the parent. So we go here, layout, isolation, somewhere down here. Bingo. And that's fine. Although this is actually, yeah, the order of the images here got swapped. Which, you know, I mean, you can just go and just change the image. But I mean, I've done what I needed to do to prove the point, right? Now you can either swap out the image or you can open the grid builder again and move the divs around. It doesn't really matter, at least not to me. So this is it, right? This is the AT grid builder, and I think it's absolutely fantastic. It's pretty mature too. Even though I must say, when Maxime released it a couple months ago, like late 2023, it was already mature, and then there was a bunch of feedback that we gave him for one, like me and the community basically gave him for like one round of real changes, and since then it's been stable and reliable. And you know, there have been probably a couple bug fixes, but it's feature complete as far as I can tell. It's a wonderful tool that makes it really easy to handle these grids. Now, one thing we won't get to do is to make this responsive, because in the end I actually met up with Peter in the meantime and we decided to use a completely different layout here. So you got to learn how to build this, but we're not going to end up using it. Now let's get rid of it again because we don't need this anymore, and we're going to go here back to the mosaic, Control Shift right, image 1, Control Shift right, and we go into this image. And you say that this has, you see that this is image object fit. So what does that mean? It basically means, why don't I do this, but let me just double check. So object fit is here, object fit cover, caption type, no caption. We go to style, we go to layout, and it's set to width 100%, height 100%, position absolute. And that's literally all it does. Why is this, why are we doing that? Again, you've probably seen Kevin's video, so this is likely a repetition to you, but we want these images to behave as if they were background images that are applied in this div. So we want them to always fit to the size and height of the parent div, and we want them to not squeeze or distort while doing that. That's why we position them absolutely. We give them width and height of 100%, and we tell it to have object fit cover. And then, you know, I'm going to lock this class again. Then on the ID level, you can then set a custom position if you want to, right? I can just be like, I want it to be bottom left, right? And then it just moves to there. Which is also another thing that AT just introduced. If you click here on focus point, you can just set your focus point for, you know, your orientation, where the picture is going to be, you know, nailed here, right? And it shows you on different screen sizes how that's going to pan out, right? How is this going to look on a very narrow, wide container? How is it going to look on a smartphone screen, right? And you can even go crazier just by setting a custom point, which is nuts. I mean, is Maxime a wizard, or is he a wizard? I mean, isn't that amazing? I'm really, really excited by all that he's offering here. So, but that's that. So we've covered what we wanted to cover. I've shown you the grid builder. I've shown you image object fit cover, why it works the way it works. And we're good to go for the next episode. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.